Welcome to the Dixon Gallery and Gardens in Memphis, Tennessee. My name is Phil, and I'm one of the docents here at the Dixon. We're in the Plow Gallery with the exhibition For America. It's a selection of paintings from the National Academy of Design. And the painting we're going to look at now is by Henry Ossawa Tanner. He was an African-American artist born in 1859. His father was a preacher and later a bishop in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. His mother had been enslaved earlier in her life, but she had already gained her freedom before Henry was born. He was born in Pittsburgh. When Henry was still a child, his family moved to Philadelphia. That's where he went to high school, and he was an excellent student. After high school, he knew he wanted to become an artist, and so he went to the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, and he had the opportunity to study with a famous artist and painter named Thomas Eakins. After several years at the Academy, Henry moved to Atlanta and opened a photography studio and also taught drawing at Clark College. But he knew he really wanted to go to Paris to continue his study of art. And so in 1891, he moved to Paris and continued studying there. And he became very successful in Paris. In fact, in 1896, his painting of Daniel in the Lion's Den won an honorable mention in the Paris Salon. And the following year, 1897, his painting of the Raising of Lazarus won a third-place medal and was eventually bought by the French government. The painting we're looking at here is called The Miraculous Haul of Fishes, and it's based on a story in the Gospel of Luke where Jesus gets into a boat with some of his disciples. They go out on the Sea of Galilee, and Jesus tells them to cast their nets into the sea for a catch. Peter says, well, we've been fishing all night. It won't do any good, but if you insist, we'll try it anyway. And when they throw the nets in, they catch so many fish, they can barely pull the nets into the boat. And here in the painting, you see two men struggling to pull the nets in. They're so heavy with fish. And the boat is almost capsizing. It's leaning so far over because of the weight of all the fish in the net. And you see four men in the background leaning back to try to balance the boat. And if you look carefully up here, one of the oars is completely out of the water because it's tipped up so far. The jumping and the splashing of the fish is portrayed here in the foreground with a thick impasto. That means a very thick layer of paint that adds depth and perspective to the painting. And so we see that here in the foreground. And notice the whole painting is kind of covered with a white, bluish, almost otherworldly light. Tanner could paint landscapes. He painted some wonderful scenes of African-American family life. But in the late 1890s, he determined he was going to focus on paintings of biblical scenes like this one. And he was able to go to the Bible lands and see Egypt, Palestine, and some of the places he painted. And that gave his paintings even more life. We even have one of his cityscapes in our permanent collection here at the Dixon. But this is a wonderful example of the mature work of Henry Ossawa Tanner. And I hope you get a chance to come to the Dixon and see it for yourself.